So these videos aren't usually in reference to anything topical. Usually it's just fucking the lift and everything that goes along with it. But I think I think some of us have been made aware of a certain character who has made a rather unexpected change in their body fat percentages. You know, typically I'm one to I'll reference them sometimes when it comes to people who take the bulk too far. A certain Nikocado avocado. Now, if that name rings a bell, you know what I'm talking about. The dude spent the last 2 years like losing 250 pounds, and he just posted an update today. It looks like he did like 10 years ago when he started YouTube videos. Now, I'll tell you something with certainty. He was eating in a calorie deficit, regardless of any other whatever they were doing to, help him lose body fat. Maybe he wasn't even doing cardio, but I can guarantee that he was in a a calorie deficit for those fucking 2 years, which added up to, a negative 250 pounds of body fat, which I think I'm not going to whip my phone out and get the calculator going, but the basic gist, in a way of looking at it, is a pound of body fat is worth about, I think, 3,300 calories. I'm like 70% sure. Well, no, I mean, let me think about this. 500 grams is 1.1, so 50 grams times 9. 3,500 calories ish, right? So that would mean if you wanted to lose a pound of body fat over the course of, let's say, a week, that means every day you have to be eating just about a 600 calorie ish deficit. Now, a pound a week is pretty rapid, but let's say you wanted to lose a pound every 2 weeks, 2 pounds a month, fucking 25 pounds that year, then you'd want to be about a 300 calorie deficit per day. So if you find your maintenance calories or you track your calories for a certain period of time, you should realize, like, okay, I'm the same weight for the last 2 weeks and I've been eating about 2,300 calories. It's really just kind of math to go from maintenance to deficit to bulk. But jeez, I mean, I doubt that he's gonna make a full video talking about like the process and everything that he went through. That's not really like his channel style, but I'd be so curious if I could see like some day by day like updates and really all the shit that he was eating. It's just fucking making me curious. But I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, right? If he's out here losing 250 pounds, I gotta get off my ass and start gaining it, right? Let's see, 500 pounds, Sam Sulik. Maybe not 500, but plan for today: morning cardio, or more like late morning cardio. I made yesterday a rest day. I could tell my quads were still a touch fatigued more than kind of typical, to the point where I didn't want to just do hamstrings only and save quads for like later in the week with a full leg day. So a 1 day delay every so often is about right. So later today is going to be legs, but I've got my 30 minutes on the seated bike, which it's a little bit tricky for me to say like which difficulty level and RPM you should do, because it's going to change from brand to brand. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to look at it as pedal at whatever pace you're used to. I see some guys pedal real fucking slow on like a really high difficulty level, or a little faster at like a lower level. But whatever pedaling speed you like, just up the difficulty until it looks like you're burning about 10 calories a minute. That sort of equation has always worked out pretty well for me, just because, I mean, it just feels right. It doesn't, I'm not saying that's the magic number, but by the time I get 10 minutes in, I'm already starting to sweat a little bit. 20 minutes, same shit. 30 minutes, depending on how hydrated I am and how warm it is in the gym, I mean, I could have a fucking drenched shirt. So that's about right. And for anybody who's a little bit concerned Like, oh, well, why would I want to do cardio if I'm trying to bulk up, man? Isn't that counterproductive? Dude, I don't think so. I really don't think so, you know? And I feel like the majority of people who say that and kind of have that suspicion of the benefits of cardio, I doubt that they've actually gone through the process of doing multiple serious bulking phases and then tried doing cardio with one and then tried no cardio with the other one and actually has like legitimate numerical actual values to compare between. Like, dude, I think the only reason people aren't doing their cardio is because they don't freaking want to, because it's kind of a chore. I mean, you have to sit there for however long, and if you don't want to like plop a cardio bike in your basement, then you got to go to the gym. So it is an extra like 15 minutes there and back, depending on how far it is. Plus, if you're prone to distraction and you start talking to some of your, to anybody who's kind of there, that might take a little bit longer. But dude, I'm telling you, it's fucking worth it. Because for me to have not done cardio for these last coming up on nearly 3 months of bulking, I would be much softer right now. I would not be magically bigger, like muscularly. I really don't think so. I would just have put on more body fat. Because if you're doing cardio on a daily basis, bulking, cutting, or maintaining, what that's going to do, I mean, if you get your reasonable, I mean, I hear it said like you need 120 minutes a week of elevated heart rate. I'm not going to look at it so specifically, right? I kind of like having a day by day schedule, so I end up doing like 210, not including the workouts, just the cardio. But if you're actually doing your cardio consistently and you're just being more active like that, then your baseline level of body fat is going to decrease in all three states. So for you to just be chilling, walking around, not really bulking up, not cutting down, you kind of just eat whatever, you're mindful. You're not just chowing down on the regular and eating in a fucking surplus. Then if you add cardio into your routine, you're going to be leaner. Like your baseline state will just be a bit leaner. And who doesn't fucking want that? Same thing dieting down, you'll simply be able to get fucking leaner. Plus, you'll be able to eat a little bit more food because the more active you are, the more calories you're burning just, regularly. So instead of eating at like an 1,800 calorie deficit, if you're doing, 300 calories worth of cardio, that can put you closer to fucking 2,200 and you're still losing body fat at the same time. And in a bulking phase, I almost feel like it's more important just because if I'm not doing my cardio, I feel like, my metabolism just going to kind of slow down, just going to start packing on more body fat, and then I'm going to have to eat less calories to continue to bulk up. It just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I see the appeal of not doing it, but once you can make it a little bit of a habit, that'll, you'll get fucking used to it, so I'm going to go get it finished, and then this is just going to be car talk. So, we'll, see if I have any other updates or topics to get into on the way back. But I guess I'll see you right back in here for you in just a moment, but for me in about 45 minutes. There we go. Back again. Moderately sweatier. I think I think it would be in my best interest to fucking lock in my sleep schedule to something a little bit more rigid and routine. Because right now I've kind of been, let's say I don't really remember the last time I was up and about right when the sun was coming up, which is such a better fucking schedule, man. If you're already moving, if you're moving around by 6, dude, that's the way to do it. Well, maybe I'll work on that. Or not maybe, I'm definitely going to work on that. So let's try to pull out without bumping into anybody. So, no breakfast yet. No breakfast yet. Sometimes I kind of like delaying the meals. And it's not all the time, though, because you got to think. You've got so much time in the day, right? I want to hit my 5,000-ish calorie goal. Should I wait 4 hours after waking up before eating my first meal? Probably not. That's it's kind of being counterintuitive at that point. So that's where it's like only sometimes, and based on sort of some random kind of circumstances I can hardly even like explain, I kind of want to wait a little bit. Because doing cardio with a full stomach, it's just a little bit, it's not like harder or anything, but sometimes I feel a little more, I don't know. I just kind of like the fasted cardio sometimes. Don't let me oversell it though. There's nothing special. You're not missing out too much if you're, doing fed cardio versus fasted. Though, in a dieting context, fasted is the way to go. And it's not because the cardio is somehow like magically more productive, but if you wait until after your cardio and you're already kind of moving around and, let's say you had a morning coffee, or if you're a little on the younger end, you slammed a fucking Monster Zero, still, right? Still fasted, still fucking fasted. Then you do your cardio, then you come back, then you fucking shower. That's however much time in the day that you've gone without eating anything yet, which I'm a little bit more of a fan of dieting wise. I'm not one to say that you need to be a die-hard intermittent faster, of course. But if you can save breakfast or your first meal of the day till like, 10, 11, like even noon, instead of like immediately slamming 1,000 calories for breakfast, I do think that's a bit of a better scenario deficit-wise. But bulking, it's in your best interest to have a fucking solid-ass breakfast. Get your dial started with a pretty big jump meal one. Because there's a lot of different ways to think about it. But one thing that really kind of helps me make sure I'm on track throughout the day, because I don't like prep 10 meals or 8 meals or whatever, and then eat them at specific times. I kind of just make sure that my rate of calorie consumption is big enough so that by the end of the day, I do hit my goals. So, if I've got 5,000 calories, I'm probably going to eat about 5 times. So meal averages should be about 1,000 each. And if I'm, evening, let's say I have breakfast at 9,000 calories right there, then, by the time noon rolls around, I'd probably want another 1,000. By the time it's 3, one more, 6, one more, 9, one more. Boom. Before you know it, hit my bulking calorie goal. Ready to get a good night's rest. Repeat the loop. Now, the issue that arises, and I think that is probably the most fucking prevalent to knock somebody out of a bulking, weight gaining phase to fucking maintenance, is when you take a little bit too long to get those calories down, because it'll set you down this fucking loop of trying to play catch up with yourself, which you can never do, because, whoa, Jesus, someone just pulled that in front of me. But what'll happen is, let's say you've been eating 4,000 calories on the regular the last week, you're killing it, you just upped it from 3,500, you're like, holy crap, this bulk's going good, I just gained another 2 pounds. And then what happens is, that 8th day rolls around, you missed breakfast because you slept in, you didn't pack a lunch, so you just had some kind of sort of scrappy whatever. It's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you've had 800 calories. So for you to get that calorie goal, that would mean between 3 o'clock and whenever you go to bed, you'd have to eat another 3,000. So that is a very dense amount of calories for such a short time period, where 2 things are going to happen. One, you're either going to, get all those meals down, but since you had so many calories that late in the day, the next day you're not going to be particularly starved in the morning, because you just had all your fucking calories like basically before you went to bed in the latter half of the day before. So you're still kind of knocking your like hunger levels out of whack. Or you're not going to get those calories in, but you're still going to try, so you're going to end up staying up extra late. Now your sleep's off, you're going to wake up kind of under-rested. It just kind of fucking sucks. So that's where, if you ever have a day where you, like, your calories are going to be off, you're like, oh, fuck, dude. I'm like 2,000 calories less than what my goal should have been today. As much as it might sound about right to try to force it and to try to, slam a fucking 2,000 calorie shake right before bed, if you're really trying to push it too hard, sometimes it is just better to, say, all right, today wasn't ideal, but if I keep trying to fucking, fix it in a kind of an improper way, then I'm never going to be able to continue the next day. And if you get stuck in that loop of like trying to play catch up every fucking day, there's no chance you're going to fucking gain weight. So that's where, take the L on that day, I think, get a really good night's rest, and then come back the next day with a vengeance on your fucking pantry. So I say that out of experience, because I've definitely had some periods of time where I was just like constantly behind calorie wise, trying to like stay up extra. It just doesn't make sense, man. So playing into fucking trying to fix my sleep routine, those two things are going to go hand in hand. You know, you wake up at the same time, you slam a pretty similar sized meal every morning for breakfast. Like maybe pick a staple. Like the oatmeal and the eggs with cheese has been a pretty perfect start for me. And then as long as you can get a good chunk meal one, I think you're setting yourself up for success later on down the day. But that only really applies to anybody who's actually tracking their calories, really trying to bulk, and is making legitimate gains. You know, so if you're not there yet, dude, just try tracking your shit, man. It's not that hard. Get a food scale. I mean, I'm not saying you have to track every meal day one, but if you can just start tracking a little bit more, like get a little bit of an idea that, you know, how many calories are in a fucking bagel, how many carbs, how many fats, how many everything. The more you start to kind of look for these little details and implement them in like your understanding of like, okay, this sandwich is probably about 500 calories. Like the more you can get a grasp on that, the better, I think. So that's my 2 cents there. A little bit of a quick one, just some talking today, but legs to well, legs for me in a couple of hours. For you tomorrow should be pretty nasty. I think I might go a little easier on quads in terms of the heavy pressing. I think I might need to do a little bit of an alternating style. So maybe do a really quad focused, brutal kind of day, and then alternate that with more of a hamstring, RDL kind of focused day on the other side. That's probably going to be a good routine. But either way, I'll see you then.